Brownies are one of my favorite desserts, and when I say that, I don't normally like dessert, and I know that's like kind of weird. I've had a big sweet tooth lately, but that's not something that I normally had like as a child. If you've ever seen frog's eye salad, that was my favorite dessert other than my mom's cherry surprise, which is really just like a cherry dump cake. Anyways, both of those recipes are in my cookbook because I do love those recipes so much. But today we're just doing brownies, and like I said, brownies are one of my favorite desserts. For my birthday, I usually don't like cake. I would rather have a brownie. While I was visiting home, I was hanging out with my mom and my nephew and my little sister, and my dad also loves brownies. So I was able to taste test these brownies on him, and my dad is my hardest critic when it comes to desserts and savory whatevers. He's like the real deciding factor if something is like very delicious and if I should make it again. So I'm very thankful for my father. But today it's all about me, and I want brownies. This is a very simple recipe, but I don't know why they're so delicious. It was more of like a recipe that I was throwing together trying to use odds and ends in my mom's pantry when I was visiting home, and it accidentally turned into being one of the best brownies that I've ever had. So I'm gonna try and recreate that with you today, and I'll share the recipe. Let's get started. I'm gonna start by measuring out my sugar. Add 1 cup of granulated sugar, half a cup of brown sugar. These brownies are so great because they're fudgy. You probably have all of the ingredients on hand. I'm also gonna show you a couple of substitutions that you can use for this recipe, but do whatever works best for you. And make sure to clean up as you go. Okay, I've got both of my sugars. I'm gonna add a decent amount of vanilla, like half a tablespoon to a tablespoon. We're gonna crack about 4 eggs. The first time I made this recipe, I had 5 eggs and I accidentally had a lucky yolk. So crack 4 eggs. I'm also adding a pinch of salt because that helps make it a touch sweeter. So give these a good whisk until everything looks like it's all one eggy bowl. Next, we're going to melt our chocolate and butter. I'm using 2 sticks of butter. Normally, I like to use unsalted butter because I like to control the amount of salt that's in my baking and savory types of foods, but you can use whatever you've got. And if you do use salted butter, then just don't add the pinch of salt that I added earlier. A couple of you have been asking for updates. I had to friend zone the person I went on a date with because I felt that we had so much in common. I just don't have that many gay friends here, so this person seemed like somebody I really wanted to get to know as a friend. I would be genuinely sad if I ended up dating this person and then something happened and then we no longer talked anymore because we have so much in common. So I decided it was probably safer to friend zone this person. So not very exciting. I really haven't been dating that much because I've been fully book focused and writing a ton of recipes, and I don't even know how I can keep up with everything. It's just been so busy. Anyways, we've got 2 sticks of butter. This might be a handy little tip that I kind of discovered while I was at my parents' house. I used half semi-sweet chocolate and then half milk chocolate. 2 cups of semi-sweet and then 2 cups of milk chocolate. Once your chocolate and butter are all nice and smooth, add that to our sugar and vanilla. This is our wet mixture. Add in our eggs. Mix this together. When you add the eggs, it's gonna look super glossy. 1 cup of flour. You can either use half a cup of cocoa powder. If you use Dutch cocoa powder, it'll taste kind of like an Oreo, but it's also way better if you let it cool. So you can use half a cup of Dutch cocoa powder, or you can use half a cup of hazelnut spread. Today I'm just going to use some cocoa powder because normally hazelnut spread is like my midnight snack. 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder and mix. I could have used a bigger bowl, but this will work just fine. Let the chocolate absorb all of that flour and cocoa powder and baking powder. beautiful. Spray down your baking dish. Then add the batter. And because I am the way that I am, I'm going to add some mini M&Ms. Mini M&Ms are one of my favorite things to decorate with because, one, they're so little and cute, and then they also add a little pop of color. I'm using about a half a cup of mini M&Ms, but you also don't have to add these. But your loss. Bake this on a 350 degree oven for about 35 to 40 minutes. It's going to rise a little bit, but that's totally normal, and it might sink a little bit too, which is also normal. Okay, so they're finally ready, so I can't wait to show you. I'm so excited. Okay, so there's two types of people. People who can wait for brownies to cool, and people who cannot. I want mine to be cooled because I also want to eat it with a little bit of ice cream. I just think that brownies might be the love of my life.